Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm so excited to bring you this new video. And if you're joining us for the first time, a special welcome to you as well. On the last video, I introduced the superstar that is the interior specialist, the best, the one and only, Jesus Christ. And I talked about how he transforms our lives for the good and how he could do it for anyone, anywhere, wherever you are in the whole world. And it's amazing. And not just that, but the best thing is that he makes house calls. He comes to you wherever you are. So good, right? Now, a natural question that kind of follows is, who is Jesus? Maybe you're listening, you're like, yeah, who is Jesus? Like, what makes him so qualified to be the best interior specialist? Why am I picking him up so much? Um, I think there are two ways to answer that, really. One of them is to just tell you the difference that Jesus has made in my own life. Why am I here? Like, confidently, wholeheartedly, lovingly recommending a relationship with Jesus to you. That's because I know what he's done for me. In the years that I've been walking with Jesus, it's just been amazing. I've been healed. I've been set free from addiction. I've had my relationships transformed with my family, with my friends. Incredible. I have experienced real freedom, joy in the midst of very unusual, sometimes crazy circumstances where I'm like, I have such peace. How do I have this peace? Even other people ask me, how do you have this peace? I've experienced so many things. Lots of incredible stories I could tell you, and I will tell you later on this channel about the difference Jesus has made in my life. And I've also seen the same thing in many dear friends who have also put their faith in Jesus. He's done the same thing, transforming them, giving them peace, joy, faith. It's incredible. So, I mean, that's why I'm here. That's why I'm doing this, because I have first-hand experience of who he is. And so yeah, 100%. I would definitely recommend a relationship with Jesus to everyone. But the other way to look at the question who Jesus is, apart from me telling you my own stories, is to look at the historical accounts of Jesus in the Bible and see what they say. Let's see Jesus for ourselves. And that's what we're going to do today. We're going to read from John chapter 8, from verses 1 to 11. And I love this story. It goes like this. But Jesus went to the Mount of Olives. Now, early in the morning, he came again into the temple, and all the people came to him and sat down, and he taught them. Then the scribes and the Pharisees brought to him a woman caught in adultery. And when they had set her in the midst, they said to him, Teacher, this woman was caught in adultery, in the very act. Now, Moses, in the law, commanded us that such should be stoned. But what do you say? This they said, testing him, that is Jesus, that they might have something of which to accuse him. But Jesus stooped down and wrote on the ground with his finger, as though he didn't hear them. I love this. Anyway, moving on. So when they continued asking him, he raised himself up and he said to them, He who is without sin among you, let him throw a stone at her first. And again he stooped down and wrote on the ground. Then those who heard it, being convicted by their conscience, went out one by one, beginning with the oldest even to the last. And Jesus was left alone, and the woman standing in the midst. When Jesus had raised himself up and saw no one but the woman, he said to her, Woman, where are those accusers of yours? Has no one condemned you? She said, No one, Lord. Jesus said to her, Well, neither do I condemn you. Go and sin no more. I love this story of Jesus, this account of Jesus' interaction with people. the first thing that I see in this story is that Jesus is a teacher. Jesus came. He was camping out on the mountainside, and then early in the morning he got up and came down to the temple to teach the people. And no matter who we are, no matter what we do, where we live, or whether we are studying or working or whatever we're doing, we have to learn. We've had teachers, and we probably still have teachers. We're probably still learning. And we've done it formally or informally. We look at what people do and we copy, we imitate. And so Jesus is a teacher. A teacher is someone who gives instruction or who explains how to do something, or teaches skills, helps you develop skills in something. And that's who Jesus is. Jesus is a life teacher. He teaches us how to live. So amazing. And he teaches us about relationship with God, relationship with him, and so many things. And that's why people came to him at the temple. When Jesus was there, he would come in and people would come to him. They would come with their questions. Can I know God for myself? How do I know right from wrong? How should I treat my fellow human being? What is love? Is there life after death? And they had so many questions. Jesus would sit down with them and teach. I love that. Jesus was with people and he taught. And that's just his character. Jesus is always with people. He comes, the name that Jesus has, another name that Jesus has is Emmanuel. It means God with us. He is with us. And it's just so incredible. But the reality is, back then, as we see in the story, not everyone liked Jesus. And that is true today. There are people who love Jesus. I'm one of them. I love Jesus. That's why I'm doing this. And there are people who don't like Jesus, who hate Jesus. And you'll find that today. But I say this because it's really important that each of us make up our own mind, arrive at our own conviction at who Jesus is. And we don't base our decision on anyone else's judgments, on anyone else's perspective, because it's so important. It's definitely worth investing the time to explore the evidence, read the stories, see the historical accounts, talk to people who know Jesus, ask me questions, and it's just explore, find out, see who he is, and then discover for yourself. I've met so many people who had heard something about Jesus, and then when they meet him, they discover actually it's not true. He's not like that. He's actually very kind. He's actually loving. And we see that in this story. It's so amazing. This is who Jesus is. Now, these Pharisees, who are they? Who are the scribes and Pharisees? They were the religious folk in the time, in that particular place in Jerusalem where Jesus was. They were the law-abiding people. They were very religious. They prided themselves in doing the right thing. And then they would let everybody know. They walk through the streets and they were wearing special clothes and all these kind of things. And so these people have caught someone, a woman, in the very act of adultery, red-handed. There's no denying it. It's like, boom, there you are. And they bring the woman before Jesus. Now, the thing is, Jesus knew that these religious Pharisees and scribes, they didn't like him. And so we see in the story that it says, they were trying to test him. They tried to set him up against Moses, against the law. They tried to get him to get into an argument and, say something that you say, aha, we knew you were such and such and such. And, how often do we find people like that, trying to trip us up, trying to set us against other people? Maybe you're in a normal conversation and someone comes in and tries to throw in something controversial just to stir things up. And you're like, why? What are you doing? But I love what Jesus does right here. And there are so many ways that Jesus teaches us, and he teaches us by what he says primarily, and the things that he says we should do and shouldn't do. But we can also learn from him indirectly by observing his life and seeing how he interacts with people. When he was, challenged in this, not even challenged, confronted by the Pharisees in this way with this question, saying, hey, do you think Moses is right? Basically, they're trying to say, hey, look, You say something different from Moses and let me see. And Jesus does something brilliant, which I think we can all learn from. He does not engage. He stoops down on the ground and he pretends like he didn't hear them. I just think that's brilliant. And the lesson here is this, at least the lesson that I see is this. We are free to choose when we speak, when we respond. We don't have to engage with every single thing that we're confronted with, or every single idea we're confronted with. Even if someone comes up and says, hey, what do you think about this? You know what? You can just walk away. you can just say, and carry on. What was Jesus doing in this time? I have no idea. But there's so many things we could do in this time. We can think about, who are these people? Who are the people asking us questions? What's their motivation? Are they asking genuine questions because they're looking for answers? Or are they, trying to get us canceled? Are they trying to look for something, just waiting for us to trip up and they'll be like, ah, gotcha. Are they your friends? Are they not friends? We've taken all this information. And then in the meantime, process the question. What have they asked? What should I say? What do I believe? What does God think of this? If you already know Jesus, you can ask yourself, well, what does God think of this? You can pray to him in the meantime. And you know what? In this whole time when Jesus was stooping down, just doodling on the floor, they kept asking him the same question. Hey, what do you think? What do you think? And he just didn't respond. Now, when he was ready, and this is the thing, it's so good. When he was ready, he raised himself up. We should not allow anyone to pressure us. This is one other thing we learn from Jesus. Don't allow anyone to pressure you into doing something when you're not ready to do it. When you're ready to speak, speak. When you're not ready to speak, they'll wait. If they don't want to wait, they'll go away. But these people waited. And so when Jesus, who knew the law, of course, they weren't teaching Jesus anything new. Jesus had been going to the temple since he was a child. He knew the law. He'd been studying it all. So he knew what they were saying. And he raised himself up. And he knew who they were. And he simply said to them, well, whoever among you is without sin, let him be the first to throw a stone at the woman. And then he disengaged. He didn't enter into an argument or a debate about the law. What does Moses really say? In the technicality, this word, what does that word mean? No. Jesus didn't do any of that. He just said, okay, if you think that you have done everything right and every single decision your whole life, go ahead. And sometimes when we read the story, you might think, Jesus said go ahead? What? But yeah, he did. Oh, man. Yeah, he did. But he knew. He knew who he was speaking to. Okay, he knew the Pharisees. This was not the first time he was meeting them. He knew they prided themselves in, being the ones who keep the law. And at least we know that these people were honest with themselves. They started to go away one after the other. And it just raises the question, what is sin? What is sin? And I look at it and I just think, sin is whenever we use something for a purpose that it wasn't meant for, or in a way that it wasn't meant to be used. Like if I take my car and drive it through someone's house, I've sinned. I've used the car for a purpose that it wasn't meant to be used. And it's similar if I take my words, I use it to tear someone down and just make them feel awful. I've sinned. I've used my words for a purpose that it wasn't meant to. Because the effect on that person is so detrimental. It's so damaging. And so sin is anything that we do that is using something for a purpose that it wasn't meant for, or in a way that it wasn't meant to be used. And so these Pharisees that Jesus had confronted, they were honest. They started to reflect. It says that they were convicted by their own conscience. And from the oldest, they started to go away. And that's a really important, that's a really interesting, bit of the story there that's captured. We need to learn, and not just from when we're old, but from now, to be honest with ourselves. Like, when I have a look at myself, what do I see? Do I see the things that I've done wrong? And they started to go away, one after the other, one after the other. And then Jesus raised himself up again after they'd all left. And I love this. This is the wonderful part. And this is just the beginning of the exploration, of the revelation of who Jesus is. Jesus spoke to the woman for the first time and said to her, "Where are your accusers? Where are they? Has no one condemned you?" And the woman said, "No one." Lord, do you recognize who Jesus is? See, the funny thing is, like, Jesus was left there. The only person who could pass any judgment on her. He said to her, "Neither do I condemn you." And that is it. That is just the amazing beauty of who Jesus is. There is no condemnation in Jesus. It doesn't matter what you've done. This woman was caught in the act of adultery. Adultery is sleeping with someone that you're not married to. So she's married. And they caught her literally red-handed and they brought her before Jesus. And Jesus didn't go, "Oh, you know what? Do you think it's okay to sleep with someone else when you're married?" And she said, if she had said, "Yeah, I think it's okay." And Jesus would have, Jesus didn't go, "Oh yeah, you know what? Since you think it's okay, I think it's okay." He didn't affirm the woman's adultery. Jesus didn't do that. Jesus knew that it was a sin. It's wrong. It causes so much damage. Just imagine what happens. The break in trust. That person, the other person in the relationship whose trust is broken, it impacts their whole life. It impacts their relationships with other people. Maybe they're less able to trust other people. Maybe they're more skeptical. Maybe they feel like they've been hurt so bad they can't go into a relationship anymore. They're closed off to love, perhaps. It causes so much harm. So Jesus says, no, it's wrong. Don't go around sleeping with people that you're not married to. He tells the woman, don't do it again. He doesn't condemn her. He doesn't label her. He doesn't say, "Oh, you're this, or you're a hoe, or you're a whatever." No, Jesus doesn't label. Jesus doesn't label her by her sin. Jesus doesn't label her by anything. He simply tells her, "I have no condemnation for you." No condemnation at all. Nothing. Just don't do it again. Change your mind about it, and then change your actions. Change your mind. Think of it differently. See the harm that it does and causes to other people. And then change your actions. Don't do it again. That's all. That's what Jesus says to you and me. He says it doesn't matter what you've done. I already know what you've done. Jesus knew exactly what she'd done. Jesus says to you, I know what you've done. But it doesn't matter. There is no condemnation. Still come to me. Just don't sin anymore. Those things that you know that you did that hurt people, don't do them anymore. And it's just amazing. So that is the grace, the beauty, the wonderful person that is Jesus. No condemnation. And just in our world today, where do we see that? So many people eager to get people canceled and to try and point fingers and say, this is what they've done wrong. Jesus did not point any fingers. He did not call her any names. He did. No. So Jesus is so good. I hope you're starting to see just a little bit, because there's so much more to Jesus. But just a little bit of why I love Jesus. Every time I come to him, it's like there's no condemnation. And so you're free. With Jesus, you find love, grace, redemption, freedom. And you can begin this amazing relationship with Jesus. He gives you the desire to do what's good and the power to choose to do it. So amazing. But maybe you're listening to this video and you already have a relationship with Jesus. You're already walking after Jesus, following his ways, but you tripped up. Great news. There is no condemnation. Jesus says to you, get up. Let's go. Just, don't trip again. Set your will. And I've given you the power. And if you desire, Jesus says to you, I will teach you how to use the power so that you don't trip, so that you don't fall. It's great. He's got so much grace, so much joy. And he loves us perfectly, unconditionally. His love doesn't depend on our performance. He already loves us. He's already given us his love, and he's never going to take it away from us. That's who Jesus is. Fantastic. So you're already loved. Even if you tripped up, even if you tripped up again, and even if it was the same stone as yesterday, guess what? No condemnation. What fantastic news! Or maybe in this story you connect more to the woman, and you've messed up, and you think, I don't even know Jesus, and I've been brought, and I'm just listening to this, and now I feel like I'm meeting this Jesus, and I just hear the woman, and I think, you know what? I know like this. I know how the woman feels. I've messed up, and maybe people have seen, other people around you know that you've messed up. Maybe they've labeled you. Maybe they've said, hey, this is what you are. You're this, you're that. And things feel hopeless. It's like, yeah, you know what? I've been caught. I'm out. And I just want to tell you, I have some fantastic news for you too. Jesus says there is no condemnation. Once you put your faith in Jesus and enter into this relationship, one of the things he does, which I love, is he makes you brand new. Basically, you have a clean slate. It's as if everything that you've done in the past never happened. Jesus paid for it all and washes it away. It's fantastic. So you get to enjoy this freedom, joy, and the fullness of life that Jesus offers free of charge. He already gives it to you. It's amazing. So that's why, getting into a relationship with Jesus, of course I would recommend it. Where else do you get a clean slate in life? Now maybe, and this is a maybe, sometimes I find myself identifying with the Pharisees. You know what? And I gotta be honest. You gotta be able to be honest with yourselves. It's like, you think, oh, I'm good. I'm doing well. I'm a good person. I'm in a position to point out to others what they're doing wrong. Okay? Let's be honest. Is that how we feel sometimes? Do we feel that we're in a better position to tell people what they're doing wrong and how they should fix it? These are the Pharisees. But you see, the great news for people like me, who sometimes falls into that category, I align with all the three categories, and just sometimes I'm the woman, sometimes I've messed up so much, sometimes I'm the Pharisees, sometimes I'm trying to point out to others what they should do. But Jesus said something really fantastic that I think addresses what the Pharisees are trying to do. And you know what? It's not wrong to tell others if they're doing something wrong. It's actually good. It's actually good. But we must be able to admit to ourselves if we're doing something wrong. And the thing that Jesus said, which is in Matthew chapter 7, verses 3 to 5, is this. He said, "Why do you look at the speck in your brother's eye, but do not consider the plank in your own eye? Or how can you say to your brother or your neighbor, 'Let me remove the speck out of your eye,' and look, there's a plank in your own eye? Hypocrite, first remove the plank from your own eye, and then you'll see clearly to remove the speck from your brother's eye." You see, it's about priorities. Jesus is telling us here to set our priorities right. Sort ourselves out first. First remove the plank in your own eye. And then Jesus says, okay, once you've dealt with the stuff that you're doing that's not good, okay, then start to, but which of us has dealt with everything? I know I still got a long way to go. So if I'm supposed to sort out my own stuff first, I don't think I'll ever get to the point where I'm trying to sort out other people's. You know what I mean? But it's a process, it's a journey. And that's what I love about Jesus. It's a relationship, it's a journey. He's walking with us. He keeps showing me things in my own life that are planks in my own eye. And he's like, you need to sort this out. And I'm like, wow, Jesus, thank you. I didn't know I had that plank. I was still looking at this and that. But it's not wrong to help people out if they're doing something that isn't right, to tell them, hey, this isn't right. You know, don't go down this way. It doesn't end well. It doesn't have good consequences. It won't give you peace. It won't give you joy. It won't give you rest. Don't do that. It's a good thing to warn. You warn people that you love, you know? So as long as it's coming from a place of love and we have our priorities right, we're sorting ourselves out, you know, getting the planks out of our own eye, well, this is a really good thing. So, oh, I love Jesus. This is why he's such a brilliant teacher. So wherever you find yourself in this story, it's just so amazing. Jesus is ready and waiting to meet with you. And he will meet with you and you with him. It's an encounter and it's a relationship. And he'll meet you exactly where you are. You don't need to do anything. You don't need to change anything. The woman didn't change anything, do anything different. Everybody meets Jesus exactly as they are. And they begin to walk with him. And it's on the journey of walking with him, walking after him, seeing what he does and doing that we get transformed. And so I wonder if something in your heart that I've been speaking has been stirred. Maybe something I said kind of resonated a little bit with you and you'd like to respond to Jesus. If that's you, I'd just like to invite you to say a prayer from your heart. Maybe something like this. Dear Lord Jesus, thank you that there is no condemnation with you. You know what? I admit that I've gotten things wrong and didn't do what I should have done. I don't want to continue living that way. I don't want life to be that way. I want to put my faith in you. Maybe for the first time, maybe again. And I just ask you, please give me the grace and the power to choose what is right and to do what is right. Please help me to continue walking with you. Amen. So good. So good. I mean, if you pray that prayer, amazing. Read the story. John 8, Matthew 7. These are amazing. And you can download a Bible anywhere, on any device. And just go and read these accounts of Jesus. They're so fantastic. That's where I'm going to end it. But isn't it so excited? I love it. No condemnation. I just feel restored. This is so beautiful. Guys, it's been lovely. It's been wonderful. I enjoyed just exploring who Jesus is again, and I'm so glad I get to share that with you. And we're going to continue this exploration on the next episode, so definitely keep an eye out. Until then, have a good one.